Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for being here today. It is part 3 of how to buy a house in Florida. Stick around, I'll be right back. So I am in my entryway filming. This is my new filming room because I did a little entryway transformation on my house over the weekend, and it's super cute. It also happens to be the brightest spot in the house. With our time change now, there's not as much light in my house, and it's just a really cute room. So let me give you a quick tour before we jump into the materials. Take a look at this. So of course we have, there's the front door. Hey, there's me. A little welcome sign. So when my guests walk into the door, they see welcome. My little fiddly fig. I moved the mirror. It used to be on that wall, but I moved it because according to feng shui, if the mirror faces the door, it bounces all the good energy right back out the door. I have crystals, and so I put the crystal up because it absorbs any negative energy coming into the house, and of course gather. So that's my cute little entryway. I'm super pleased with the way it turned out. If you haven't done a transformation of your home, if you have done one, then you know how awesome it is. If you're thinking of buying a home, let's see if I can get this all lined up again, and you're watching this because of that, then you will maybe have an excuse to do a transformation of your own. Okay, let's jump into why you're here in the first place. Part 3 of how to buy a house in Florida. I do not have a script again. The last one turned out okay without a script. I should, after this many years of selling real estate, be able to just, knock this out without a problem. So we're going to go script-free again, except for a couple of notes to make sure that I put all the steps in the right order, because it helps when the steps are in the right order, right? So we left off with being under contract. Woohoo! There's my notes. Woohoo! And so the next step, as soon as you go under contract, the very first thing that has to happen is you as the buyer need to wire or drop off your escrow. So on the Florida contract, it's going to say on the very first page, one of the first things that it says is that the buyer will either give escrow with the contract, or something that's more common, we will do the escrow within 3 days of an executed contract. It's a lot easier to do it within 3 days because then you don't have money changing hands and going back and forth. So once your offer is accepted and your contract is fully executed, then you have 3 days to deposit your escrow with the title company. That is the very first deadline that you need to meet. And if you don't, then you're out of contract and the seller can say, see ya, I'm going with someone else. So it's very, very important to make sure that you meet these deadlines. Escrow is going to, it's like what you're using to hold the property and make sure that you abide by the terms of the contract, and it becomes something that is in dispute if either party defaults on any part of the contract throughout this contract to close period. So once you have your property under contract and you have that executed paperwork back, if you're one of my buyers, you'll get an email right away that says, hey, congratulations, pop the cork, you're under contract, here's what happens next. And one of the very first steps is going to be deposit escrow. You have until X date to do it. Here are all the particulars for the title company, the name of the title company, the name of the title agent, their phone number, their email address. And at that point, I ask you to get in touch with them directly to figure out how to wire or drop off those funds. Sometimes they'll take a check or a cashier's check. The more common method right now is wiring funds. And it's super important that you get those wiring instructions directly from the title company and the title agent by phone, not by email or anything else, not through me, not through some other person, because this is one of the number one ways that we're seeing fraud happening in the real estate industry right now. These emails are going out to our buyers, and the email says, hey, I'm your title company, and we changed the bank account number. Here's the new bank account number to wire your funds to. Send it there. And what happens is then these hackers get your money and you can't get it back. And sometimes it's a great deal of money. So anything that has to do with money, transferring hands from your bank account to the title company's bank account, and that's the only way that's ever going to happen in a real estate transaction in Florida. Pick up the phone if you ever get an email. Pick up the phone, call the title company directly and say, hey, I just got an email that said XYZ. Is this true? Let me verify the routing number and the bank account information with you. This is the number one way that you can protect your money to make sure that you're not out, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So number one, drop off escrow. Number two, the next thing that's going to happen is kind of going to happen simultaneously, is that inspections will be scheduled. So you've got, depending on what the contract says, you have 10 to 15 days normally to have your inspections done. As you know, you should have the inspections done. Here's why. Make sure you watch that video if you don't know whether or not you should have inspections done. The answer is always going to be yes. Get the inspections done. So once you have your offer accepted and you're under contract, you're dropping off your escrow and you're also scheduling your inspections with the inspector that you want to use. I can provide you with several different names and phone numbers of people that we use often. My transaction coordinator sometimes will schedule those for you if you let them know who you would like to use. The easiest thing is for you to schedule the inspections yourself, and that way you can go ahead and pay for it at that time. And then on the inspection day, what's going to happen is the inspector is going to go out there. They're going to generally have access to the property. They're going to do most of their inspection, and you and I will show up the last hour of the inspection. We don't need to be there for the whole thing. It's about 3 to 4 hours. And you and I will show up the last hour of the inspection and talk to the inspector and go through the whole house, and he'll let us know everything that he found. But it's not necessary to be there for the whole thing. We also don't want the seller, if you're a seller on this, we also don't want the seller to be there for the whole thing because, they make noise, and then sellers are like, oh my God, what are they doing? So best to just let the inspectors do their thing. They know what they're doing. They're very good at it. We use top quality inspectors, and we just let them do their business, and then we go in and we talk to them afterwards. You'll get an inspection report. Again, all of that is in that video about inspections. So you'll get an inspection report that tells you everything. It can be anywhere from 20 pages, which is really small, to well over 100 pages, depending on the size of the property and how many things they found wrong with it. At about the same time, or once we know that let's back up. As soon as the inspections are done and we know whether or not the property is in good condition, at this point, then the next thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to negotiate repairs on your behalf if we need to. So if you're getting an FHA loan, there are certain things that need to be in working order in the house. And if they're not, then the seller needs to repair those in order for FHA to approve the house. If we're using a standard contract and we requested X amount of dollars in repairs or percentage in repairs on the standard contract, then we can again go back and negotiate whatever it is that you want done to the house up to that agreed upon amount. If it's an as-is contract and you're not going FHA, generally we don't ask for repairs. However, if you're using an as-is contract, this is also when you can look at your laundry list of repairs and decide that maybe you don't want this particular house and cancel the contract at that point if you want to. If you want to move forward with it, then you just accept the inspection report. You know the things that need to be done, and we move on. If we're negotiating repairs, I will negotiate repairs after we have that inspection report and we know what needs to be done. In the inspection period also, should the home inspector find things that are a little bit wonky, like the roof, they said it was 8 years old, but he gets up there and he's like, whoa, this looks like a 20-year-old roof. He might recommend other things, that other inspections that need to be done. So HVAC is common, electrical, plumbing, roof inspections, pest inspections are pretty common to get pest inspections anyways. Any of these things, the inspector might go ahead and say, hey, you probably want to have this done, so let's go ahead and schedule it. And we'll want to have those things done within that inspection period or extend the inspection period so that there's time to get those things done. And again, then I would go in and negotiate repairs for you. At about the same time, then the lender, we give the lender the okay and we say, great, everything looks wonderful. The lender will go ahead and schedule the appraisal. They might have done that earlier. If we have a very, very tight time frame from contract to close, they might have already scheduled the appraisal. The appraisal isn't something that any of us need to do. It gets charged to your settlement statement at closing, so we don't talk to the appraiser. The only time that I might come back in and talk to the appraiser is if the appraisal comes in low. And then I might come in and say, especially on a seller side, hey, these are the comps that I found, and this is really what I think it should be at. On the buyer side, then what we would end up doing if the appraisal comes in low is going back and renegotiating with the seller and trying to work out the difference there and still stay in contract so that you can buy the house. So after the appraisal, one of the other things that's happening at about the same time is the survey. If there's no existing survey on the house or within like 3 years, the title company will go ahead and order a new survey because we need a survey done, particularly if you're buying cash, then you don't, but if you've got a mortgage, then you're going to need an updated survey or a survey. If there isn't an existing survey on the house, then the title company will go ahead and order one, and that takes about a week to get. So we're about a week or so from closing at this point. Now we've gotten through the survey, the appraisal comes in fine. We did the inspections, we negotiated things if we needed to negotiate anything. All of that is done. All of your paperwork has gone through underwriting with your lender. They have all of their stuff done. Now, one of the most exciting 3 words in the history of real estate, clear to close. And you'll probably see memes about that, like this one. We're super excited because this means you've got the money, everything has gone through. The only thing we're waiting for at this point is closing day. And typically you're going to get clear to close about 5 days prior to closing. Right at about the same time, about 3 to 4 days before closing, we'll probably get the final settlement statement from the title company. This is your next step. And we will review the settlement statement. So the settlement statement is going to have all of the debits and all of the credits that are charged to you, the buyer, and it's going to work itself out. And then at the bottom, it's going to have a final number that is your balance to close, and that is the amount of money that you need to wire to the title company to have the house, to have it funded to be able to purchase the house. What's happening at this time is the lender is wiring funds to the title company to pay for the house. This is your mortgage, if you're getting a mortgage. And at the same time, whatever your balance to close is, so it's going to depend on how much your mortgage amount is, or if you're paying cash, it's going to be whatever the rest of it is from your escrow. To make it easier, if you're paying cash and you're paying $300,000 for the house and you put $10,000 down, then your balance to close is going to be roughly $290,000. There are going to be some debits and credits in there. So there are going to be things like an appraisal is charged to you if you had an appraisal done, a survey is charged to you if you had the survey done. There are going to be some balances worked out there for property taxes. So if the property taxes were paid for already, then some money goes back to the seller that you owe on the property taxes for the amount of time that you're keeping the house during the year. If the property taxes have not been paid for yet, so for instance, you're buying the house in July, then the seller will owe you money for the property taxes up to that point when you close, because you will be responsible for those taxes in November when the tax bill comes out. So there are a few things on there. You and I will review the settlement statement. We'll go over everything. We'll make sure that everything looks good. And you will instruct your bank to wire the funds to the title company so that you can close. And then the very last final step is closing. You go to the title company. Right now, you go to the title company without me, or sometimes I go and I sit on the other side of the table, socially distanced everyone, and you sign the paperwork. We've done remote closings. If you're not in the state, then they will email the package to you, and all you need to do is print it out and have it notarized, sign it and have it notarized and send it back to them. So there are a whole bunch of different ways that closing can happen depending on your particular situation. But that is the most exciting day. Woohoo, you're closed. You get the keys and the house is all yours. Congratulations. You are a homeowner in Florida. That's it. Super easy, right? It seems that way. There are a whole lot of things that can go wrong in that process, and there are a whole lot of things that generally go right in that process. And the whole idea is just to get from point A, which is starting at the very beginning of your home search, to point Z, which is closing, and to do it as stress-free as humanly possible for you, because buying a house is stressful. Moving is stressful. It just is, no matter how many times you've done it. Those are the basic steps. There are a whole lot of other things that can happen in there. I'll do other videos about all of those things later on, but for right now, that's what you need to know. If you are picking this video up at step 3, which is this one, go back and watch step 1. Start from there and do the whole series, and that way you are completely up to date on exactly what's going on. And of course, drop down in the description below and grab your home ownership, your guide to home ownership that is free. It's a download. It's a PDF download. Please subscribe. Hit the like button, the thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Leave me any questions that you might have about home ownership in Florida. Any of that good stuff. Give me a call. Send me a text. Email. I'm easy to reach. Just if you have a question, if there's anything that I can help you with, please reach out. Please use me for a resource. Please know that I'm available to you to help in any way that I can with any questions you have or with the process whatsoever. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Hope you liked my entryway transformation, and I hope you get to do your own very, very soon. Have a great day.